Hi everyone, welcome to North Star Knife Reviews. A little open tag for you today. Whoever wants to pick this up and run with it, be my guest. The more the merrier. Hoping that Knife Detector, Patty's Potato Peelers, Tobias, Gibson will pick this up because I'd really like to see their opinions. But today what I've got is half a dozen knives that are not Swiss Army knives for non-knife people. Now, I have nothing against Swiss Army knives. I love Swiss Army knives. I have a number of Swiss Army knives, but they are really sort of the obvious choice when you're talking about giving a knife to a non-knife person. So I want some other options. Let's see what else is out there. And so what I'm going to do is give you 6 options that I think would make good knives for non-knife people. And I've got a few alternatives I'll show you too. But the open tag is half a dozen knives for non-knife people and things that are not Swiss Army knives. Now, if you watch me normally, you know that I like to keep my videos around 5 minutes max. This is probably going to go somewhat over that just because of the number of knives we're talking about. So a few sort of criteria that I set for myself, and this is not what anybody else has to use. But for me, there was a few things that I used to narrow down the knives. First, I didn't want anything overly aggressive. If you're dealing with somebody who's a non-knife person, you want to give them something that they're going to see as a tool rather than a weapon. And so something that's not too aggressive. And going along with that, something that's not too large. So the knives I picked are on the small side. You may love your cold steel Espada, but you give that to a non-knife person and it's probably going to freak them out. So I'm keeping these on the smaller side. In addition, I've decided to stick with sort of old school knife systems. And what I mean by that is, I don't have any axis locks or even frame locks, liner locks in here. I've gone with either slip joints, and I've included a double detent kind of knife in that, or lockbacks. Things that are common enough, have been around a long time. You give the knife to pretty much anybody and they're going to know how to open and close it without instruction. So I haven't used any liner locks or anything like that, or axis locks. And then finally, I want to stick with stainless or near stainless steel. Now, I do have one knife in here that is in carbon steel, but there's a stainless option, and I don't happen to have a stainless version of this particular knife right now. But I think sticking with stainless or something near stainless, one of these is D2, which falls just a little short of stainless, but I still think it'll be okay. We can talk about that when we get to that knife. So, without further ado, here we go. Let's start with this little knife. This is the Ruike S21, and this has 2 blades. Now this has got some similarities to a Swiss Army knife, but you can see the blade is much more robust, but still pretty small. Small enough that somebody who's not a knife person is probably not going to get freaked out by it. And this also has a little combination tool. You've got a cap lifter, you've got a seatbelt cutter, and you have a little flathead screwdriver. Now, these rakes do come in several options. You can get just the blade. You can get the blade with the combination tool. You can get the blade with a pair of scissors, or you can get the blade with the combination tool and a pair of scissors. I've got the one with the combination tool on it, but you could certainly go with one of the others. Now, Ruike is made by, these rake knives are, I'm 99% sure, are made by Sanren Mu, who also does the Boker Plus knives. You can get this, pretty much this exact same knife in a Boker Plus. It's just going to have different scales. I think I saw one with Cocobolo scales. These are going to run, the rakes are going to run in the $18 to $20 range. The Boker Plus versions that are otherwise exactly the same except for the scales are going to run in the $25 to $30 range. Okay, next we have the Kershaw Pub. And this, I think, might make a good knife for somebody because it doesn't really look like a knife, at least not a weapon kind of knife. And this is a double detent system. but it also has the bar here. You know, you put your thumb on this, and that blade, absent something really weird, is not going anywhere. Okay, it's not aggressive looking, but it'd be great for opening boxes, packages, things like that. You also have the cap lifter on it, a little screwdriver at the end, and you know, you can put this on a keychain if you wish. Aluminum on one side, stainless steel on the other. Just something that I think would make sort of a discreet little carry that's not going to look like a knife to a lot of other people. Now, maybe you want a US made knife, okay? Well, one option is this little case. Now, Buck makes something very similar to this, a little different handle, but otherwise pretty similar. These run, you know, $20 to $25. This one runs you $15 to $20. But this is the case 225L in the stainless steel. And it is just a small lockback. You know, something that people are going to know how to use. Now, this one has camo scales on it. That may or may not be what you want, but I know you can get black, and I think maybe one or two other colors as well. But again, something that's small, certainly a useful little knife for everyday tasks, but for a non-knife person, it's going to be non-threatening and something that they can use. Now, one of my favorite knives for a non-knife person, little Opinel. This is a number 6, and I don't have a 6 in stainless. So this one is carbon, but I would go for the stainless version. Now, what you've got, and the reason I'm saying the 6 is because it's a little smaller, not going to be too huge. You know, certainly Opinel makes a number of different sizes. You can go with any size you want. This has a little vibra-lock on it. You know, for example, here's the number 8 as an alternative. You know, if you had somebody and you think they might like a little bigger knife, you know, this is sort of the standard. It really fits the hand well. But for a non-knife person, might be a little on the big side. And you can get the Opinels just in the standard handle, or this is the, I think it's the outdoor series or something like that. Got the painted handles and little leather lanyard. You know, but you can get these in all sorts of sizes. So if you think somebody might want a little something a little larger or even a little smaller, this might be a good option. Another alternative to this, for example, if you didn't want that particular style, here's a knife by Joker. You know, this is made in Spain. Different blade profile, different handle profile, but otherwise a very similar style of knife. You know, Old Bear from, or Antonini Old Bear from Italy, Mam from Portugal. They all make similar style of knives that you could have as an alternative to the French-made Opinel if you wanted. Then this is a little Marbles in D2, a little small lockback. This might, with the clip point blade, might be a little on the aggressive looking side for some people. You know, you're gonna know, I think, who you're giving it to. So maybe this wouldn't be an option, but if they're okay with something like this, you know, I think it would be good. And certainly you can give other brands. There's Buck, Utica, there are other Marbles, there's Rough Rider. They all have options that are similar to this. Again, not too big, but the lockback, you know, very safe. And then finally, something that's, you know, sort of a cute little knife, the Cub lockback from Rough Rider. Now this one happens to be the copper swirl. I can, you know, I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with knives with copper. I like them occasionally, but not all the time. But, you know, these little Cub lockbacks, nice and small, you can still get a lot of utility out of it. You know, you can choke up on it. It's very non-threatening looking, and it's a lockback, so it's going to be very safe. You know, you can get a number of different styles of this. I do really like the looks of this one, but you can get any number of other styles, and I think this may make a really, really good knife for somebody if you don't want to give them something really big, but, you know, maybe they like something a little fancier looking. And so I would check out the little Cub lockbacks as well. Now, one other option, all of these have been relatively inexpensive. You could also go with something, you know, like a nicer case. This one happens to be a Tony Bose design, a little teardrop jack. maybe somebody who you want to spend a little more money on, a relative, something like that. Okay, so these are just a few options I have for knives for non-knife people. Looking forward to seeing what other people come up with. I think this is something that is really, really interesting because, there are a lot of people out there who, they ask to borrow a knife sometimes, or they need something cut, but they're not a knife person and they don't carry a knife. Well, maybe they should start. And these might be options to get them there, all right, and get them to see knives as tools, not weapons, that sort of thing. I hope some other people pick up this open tag. Love to see what we can find out there for people. Leave me a comment if you've got a knife that you really love that you think would be great in this capacity. You don't have to use the same criteria I used. I just used the ones that I listed to narrow it down. Hope you found this interesting. Hope that at least a few people pick up on this open tag, and let's see what you got. You have a good day. I will catch you next time.